All right, guys, here is our last video. We are finishing passage 3, and I will show you and teach you how to find the rest of the answers to this test. We're talking about turtles. I'm teaching you step by step everything you need to know and showing you how to do it. My name is Brett. I'm an American IELTS expert, and I'm here to help you. By the way, what do you think is the most important thing to do in preparation for IELTS, the IELTS test? What do you think? I'm just curious your comment and your thought. Leave it in the comments. And if this video helps you any, like it. I read everything you say. I'm very interested. Okay? All right. So in the previous video, we answered all of 27 through 33. So we have 34 through 40 left. Let's do it right now. There it is. It was on the back page. I like to print one-sided, but I didn't today on accident. So here we have it. Where is my pen? Wow. Never take the IELTS test paper-based if you don't have a pen or a pencil. Yes, they will give one to you, but you can't do anything on a paper test without anything to write with, can you? Okay, guys. Now, these types of questions I really like. I really like these. Do you know why? Because when it's kind of like a diagram style, or sometimes we even have questions in a paragraph form, I need to sneeze. I forgot my pen. I had to sneeze. What will happen next? Let's see. So I like these questions because usually they go very quickly in order. So if I find 34, the next one will come very quickly after, and then so I don't have to scan the full part of the test. Once I find one, usually the rest are very close because all of these sentences are connected. They're not just sporadic questions. These all go in order. So in another video, I'll show you another type of set of questions that also are usually found very close to each other. And like I said, those are in a paragraph form. Okay, so we'll read the questions, we'll read the instructions. We read the title in the previous video, right? So we know what we're talking about. No, step number 2, after the title, read the instructions. No more than 2 words and or a number. So it could be one number, it could be one word in a number, it could be 2 words in a number, it could be 2 words by itself. All right, look at this. Method of determining where the ancestors of turtles and tortoises come from. So we're talking about a method, we're talking about ancestors of the turtles and tortoises. Uh-oh, Brett, you said turtles and tortoises are the same thing. To be honest, I think they are, and I thought they were. If they are not, I don't know. If you know the difference between a turtle and a tortoise, please let me know. As far as I know, they are the same thing, just 2 different words. Whew, today's an interesting day, right? Step number 1. We have some keywords for locating that I love right here. A number. 71 species. You can't paraphrase a number, so I'm going to go to the passage and look for 71. When I see that number, it should stand out, very obvious to me. And 34 should be right there. In fact, probably in the same sentence or very close to it. 71 species of living turtles and tortoises were examined, and a total of what were taken from the bones of their forelimbs. So I'm thinking this is probably a number, maybe a number and a word. 71 species of living turtles and a total of 3 types of, I don't know, were taken from the bones of their forelimbs. Or it could just be a number, a total of 10 were taken. So 71 species, I'm very excited about that. The data was recorded on a necessary for comparing information. Data, comparing the information. Another thing, we didn't talk about this before, but predicting is extremely powerful if you can do that. If you can read these questions and identify what the answer could be, well, we did that, but the other part about this is you can predict the type of grammar, what type of word it will be. So look at this. The data was recorded on A. A tells me singular noun, right? So right here, we need a singular noun. We know that. If you go back to the passage and you find the right place, but you put an answer that is a verb here, grammatically it doesn't work. So you can check your answers and find your answers better when you know what grammar is needed there. Now, A is simple. We need a singular noun or a noun phrase. But sometimes there's multiple options. Sometimes you could have a verb, but maybe that verb can only be in ing form. Or maybe it can only be in the base form. I don't know. So think about those things. What kind of word do we need here? Total of. Well, this should be a noun also. Either it's going to be a number, and then the noun is connected still to species, or actually living turtles. No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be a noun. So 71 species of living turtles and tortoises were examined, and a total of 10 dogs, for example. Probably a number and then a noun. All right. 36. Outcome. Land tortoises were represented by a dents of points towards the top. Towards the top, land tortoises, dents. Dents, what of points? A dense series of points. So we need a noun here. A tells me we need a singular noun. Dense, adjective. Adjectives describe nouns. Let's go to 37. The same data was collected from some living species. Well, there's our noun. So what could go here? Probably an adjective, right? Living, land-dominated species, that would be a noun, for example, and added to the other results. So you can write things like this. Adjective, singular noun, noun or number plus noun, I think, dense noun. 38. The points for these species, points, good for finding, for these species turned out to be positioned about up the triangle, about up the triangle. Now, there's not many words that can fit this sentence and make sense. 500,000 words in English about, and maybe just a few words that would fit this. About a third, it could be a third up the triangle between the land tortoises and the sea turtles. Positioned about 2/3, positioned about 2/10, positioned about 20%. So how much? We need a precise measurement here. 39. By the way, here's some good, even though this isn't in our sentence, it's still very closely related. P, these are scientific names I won't even try to pronounce, but we can find these. It's even in italics. When the word is slanted like that, it's called italics. I'll write that for you. And if you're in Microsoft Word, you push B and it makes the word bold. You push the letter I and it makes the word italicized. Helps you find it. So these probably are italicized in the passage too, but even if they aren't, these are easy to find. Those should stand out. 39, the position of the points indicated that both these ancient creatures were, in position of the points, indicated, probably paraphrased, were what? Could be an adjective, could be past participle, right? Let's look at 40. So 40, totally different type of question here. This question comes basically throughout the whole purpose, the whole looking at of the passage, right? Or does it? Think about this. According to the writer, the most significant thing about tortoises is, so here we have a lot of useless words. According to the writer about tortoises, well, the whole thing is written by a writer. The whole passage is about tortoises. Most significant thing, and you can believe that will be paraphrased, significant thing, the most important thing, right? And I like to read the potential answers for these and also underline. They are able to adapt to life, extremely dry environments. Their original life was a kind of primeval bacteria. That's probably not paraphrased. Original life. They have so much in common with sea turtles. And so much, not a little bit, but so much. They have made the transition from sea to land more than once. All right. And already, just from answering all the other questions, I kind of have an idea what I think the answer might be. Because I've read a lot of this already, even just by skimming. What answer, before we look at it, do you think 40 would be? Extremely dry environments. Well, maybe it talked about that, but a little detail. Original life, primeval bacteria, maybe. So much in common with sea turtles, yeah. Transition from sea to land more than once. It talked a lot about transitioning sea to land, land to sea, but was it more than once? And most important, what was the most significant thing? So we're probably looking for a paraphrase that says this. And a good place, again, not 100% of the time, but a good place to start for this type of answer is in the conclusion, at the end, maybe the last paragraph, maybe the last few sentences. Because when you write your IELTS topics, your IELTS papers, task 1 or task 2, your conclusion also has the most significant things of your paper. It should, right? You have your introduction. It gives you a little taste of the most important things you will talk about. Then the body, the middle paragraphs have your details. But then the conclusion, again, summarizes and says one more time in clear detail what the most important thing about your paper was. It should. So let's do 40 first. Let's look at the last paragraph. Let's see how it works. Wow. Tortoises therefore represent a remarkable double return. Double means more than one. But most significant thing, we need that. In common. Later ancestors still evolved and became sea turtles, and finally they returned yet again to the land as tortoises. Maybe the difference between turtles and tortoises is whether it's on land or it's on water. I think I just answered my own question. I thought they were the same thing, but I guess there's a little difference. Land turtles are referred to as tortoises, but water turtles are turtles? I don't know. Driest of desert, so it does extremely dry, but this whole thing was talking about returning, double return. And I'm just looking. Have not stayed on land, modern land tortoises. This whole thing is talking about returning land, then to sea, then to sea, then to land, and the land, then to sea. But most significant thing. Well, I didn't see that paraphrase, which would indicate the answer is there. Let's work on these, and we might find 40 in the process. So numbers 34. I'm looking for 71. That should be easy. I'm excited. If you see 71, raise your hand. 71, easy to find. 71 species of living turtles and tortoises, word for word right now, were examined, and a total of were taken from the bones of their forelimbs. Bones, forelimbs. Was it before bones? Obtained 3 measurements in these particular bones. Yep. What's our answer? 3 measurements. Now look, according to our instructions, we can have no more than 2 words and or a number. So right now I have a number and a word. That's fine. You could also write 3 as a word. This would count as a word actually, not a number. And it's 2 words. And that works too. So either way on this one would be fine. The data was recorded. Remember I said we need to mark it. Remember I said these will go in order very quickly next to each other because these sentences are step by step as it shows and they are connected. Data is recorded. Graph paper. Data is recorded on graph paper. I know that. To plot the 3 measurements against one another. That is a paraphrase for comparing. So data is recorded on a kind of triangular graph paper. Uh-oh. I think this is our answer, but no more than 2 words. So what do we do, guys? A kind of, so we know a kind of, we don't need that in our answer. Now we have 3 words, triangular graph paper. So what you want to do is the most important words. Triangular just adds more details. It adds more information. Big graph paper, small graph paper. But the main answer is graph paper. Oh, wait. But look at the grammar. On a graph paper, paper is usually used in an uncountable form. A tells me it's a countable noun. Now it got even trickier. Now what's our answer? They used a kind of triangular graph paper on a, I think our answer will have to be on a triangular graph. If it said 3 words, I'm writing, or actually, yeah, because it has a. See how important grammar is in your answers? It must match the grammar in the question. 36. Land tortoises were represented, mark it, were represented by a dense of points. I'm looking for points. Land tortoises, a tight cluster of points. Tight cluster is a paraphrase for dense. Dense means a lot in one area. A tight cluster, tight group means a lot in that group. So tight is our adjective. Dense is our adjective. Cluster is our noun. Cluster. I believe that is our answer. What do you think? All the water turtles cluster in the lower part. Yeah, look at that. And then after, sea turtles, water turtles, grouped in the bottom part, in the lower part. Yep. Because of dense and tight, dense cluster, tight cluster, same thing. There's our answer. That was 36. See how quickly they are coming next to each other? 37. The same data. What kind of species? There was no overlap except when they added some species, some living species, some species that spend time both in water and on land, some living water and land species, It could be water and land, but that's 3 words, so it's not that. Keep that in mind, water and land. Sure enough, these amphibious species show up on the halfway between the... I think this sounds pretty good because look, our answer actually is water and on land. The same data was collected and added, so it was added some species that spend time both in water and on land. Sure enough, these amphibious species, so now it gives us the specific name that here they described it, species that are on water and on land, which means amphibious species. So sometimes you find the right location. Well, actually, you've probably noticed when I take these exams, I'm looking at the sentences above and the sentences below when I find the right area. That is important. Make sure you copy the spelling correctly. 38. The points positioned where? Where was it positioned? Mark our answer. Halfway, show up on the halfway between, we had what position? Positioned about halfway up between the land tortoises and sea turtles, between the wet cluster of sea turtles and the dry cluster of sea turtles, land tortoises. Hey, look at this. Here they're using turtles and tortoises interchangeably. Sea turtles, okay, they said the same. Land tortoises. Forget what I said. They use the same phrases. But I think our answer is halfway. Approximately halfway, about halfway. Those are paraphrases. Yes. Between, we have the same thing. Triangular graph, the triangle. That is the right answer. Last one, 39. Position of the points, both of these creatures, the P whatever, the bones of P whatever. Oh, mark it, Brett. So bad when teaching about that. 39 appears to be here. The bones of P and P leave us in no doubt. Their points on the graph, position of the points, yep, are right in the thick of the dry cluster. Indicated that both these fossils were dry land tortoises. Indicated that both these ancient creatures were dry land tortoises. Look at this. No more than 2 words. Dry land tortoises. Is this a problem? Is that 3 words or is that 2 words? Yes, you are right. That is only 2 words. When we have a word that is connected with a hyphen, the hyphen means it's actually 1 word made up of 2 words. So dry land, that's 1 word, and tortoises. Make sure I spell it right. 2 words, dry land tortoises. That is our answer. I think we did all these very well. I like these. These are easy for me. 40. Okay, guys, I need your help on this one. The most significant thing. In common before that, there's primeval bacteria still in the sea. See how they have these things in the last paragraph that are all related? Again, it's showing you that the last paragraph is very important for these types of questions. Just because it mentioned primeval bacteria doesn't mean that's our answer. Is it the most significant thing? I'm thinking, look, they talked about it from the beginning of this paragraph through the middle to the end, and finally they returned yet again. And we remember that was what most of this whole passage was about. Sea to land, land to sea, sea to land, land to sea. I didn't find a paraphrase perfectly, which you would expect to find. Maybe I missed it somewhere for that shows that it was the most significant, most important. But I'm going to choose D, they have made the transition to land more than once. I think double return. Yeah. So that is it, guys. That is how I do the academic IELTS reading test. What do you think? Is this strategy helpful? Well, many strategies, but there's so many tips, so many strategies you can use. I want you to remember one thing though. Now, everything that I've taught you is generally going to help everyone, no matter who you are, but we are all different people, and what works for you might not work for me. What works for me might not work for you. So there is a part of the IELTS test where you simply need to figure out what works for you. And again, that comes from practicing. Take a practice test and try this strategy. How did that work for you? Maybe the first time it didn't work very well because you need to get used to it. You need to practice it more. But if you practice it several times and you still cannot do very well with it, and your English is good enough to do that, then maybe that's not the strategy for you. Do whatever works for you. Whatever works for you is the thing you should do, right? So this is how I do it, and it's how I really recommend you take your IELTS reading tests. But again, it's all about getting the best score. And if you can get the best score, closing your eyes and just writing random words, do that, okay? So think about the grammar, think about the instructions, think about the order of the questions, think about the key words. Notice I never, in any of these passages, I never read all of them. I never did. I simply found the answers. That's my strategy. Anyway, enough talking. Hope that was helpful. You guys, I believe you can do this just as well as I can. Improve your English, practice, improve your IELTS skills, practice using these tips and strategies. You will have success, and I wish you an amazing week.